A sneak peek at what's coming up next.
In the Black community, we wasn't being diagnosed.
Right.
It wasn't a conversation.
Yep.
I understand why my parents didn't get me tested. They didn't want to go through that. And I was like, they said, well, you don't think your son is autistic because he got vaccinated?
Mhm.
No, I don't.
Well, I always ask the question when somebody goes in that direction or even brings up vaccines at all. I always ask, why does it matter? Cool, but there's already millions of people who are autistic. They already exist. We still need to talk. We still need to make accommodation. When we still need resources.
If it did cause autism, would you rather have people out there who are autistic or like measles outbreaks everywhere?
And I would rather have autistic people than, people dying of measles or polio or shit like that.
My first book, Just Like You, is a book about a Black boy on the spectrum who's nonverbal, who's starting school. All of my writers have a disability. 3 of my writers are autistic. 1 has an invisible disability.
Everybody in the United States needs to give each other a little bit more grace and a little bit more understanding, because everybody needs it.
Get ready for peak autism infotainment. Thrilling topics, amazing guests, great laughs, and autism.
On the Spectrum, an autistic podcast.
All right. Welcome to another fabulous episode of On the Spectrum, an autism podcast. My name is Steve.
And I'm Nick. I'll match that energy. Jesus.
Well, it's great to be here, and we have another wonderful guest for you today. The talented Crystal Jordan is with us today.
Yes.
Crystal is an autism advocate, an author, and an entrepreneur, and also a mother, right?
Yes, I am mom.
And also an autistic.
Yeah, so why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
So, hey you guys, I'm Crystal Jordan. He said everything. I'm a magazine owner. I just founded and created a new magazine called Auesomely magazine, where I feature and I'm going to employ people on the spectrum and neurodiversity. And I'm a mom. And I self-diagnosed myself autistic at 33. I've been processing that diagnosis for a while. And I'm 35 and I'm fully accepting it. And we can get into that conversation. So I'm Crystal Jordan, y'all. Nice to meet you guys.
Bravo for accepting it, because that's a really hard thing to do, especially when somebody is self-diagnosed, right? When you start that journey into it, there's a lot of imposter syndrome, a lot of doubt, a lot of questioning of it. Something I tell people when I come across them and they're like, I don't have an official diagnosis, just believe because you believe. Right? Just accept it because that's what you think about you. So just accept it up front, because that imposter syndrome thing can kill people. Like, it'll make them question quite a lot of stuff. Did you go through some of that process of like self-doubt of maybe it is, maybe it's not? I don't know.
So my answer is going to be very different.
Okay.
No. I didn't talk until after 5. That's a marker. I was nonverbal. I remember being nonverbal. I remember not being able to talk. I remember when I did start talking, I started talking like a robot. And most autistic people, when they start to talk, they don't talk like neurotypical people talk. I don't use the word normal. I think it's very offensive.
Okay.
So I didn't talk like other kids. I was bullied. I was in special education. So all the markers were there. I remember young Crystal really trying to fit in. I was socially awkward, and I was very smart.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Well,
so the markers were sent there. And my late auntie who passed 2 years ago, she always thought it, and she thought not autism, but she thought something was off.
Yeah.
She was talking to my parents.
Right.
And they did not get me tested. And I'm not mad at them for it.
Right.
But they didn't get me tested. And I'm in the process of pulling my records from my school system. I'm trying to see where they classify me as.
Yeah.
Because I have so many. And I remember being pulled out. I remember my education very well. So all the markers are there for me. So I'm not somebody who just, I'm autistic. No, I saw them. I understand the markers. And my parents would say, my son just does certain things. And my mom and dad would be like, you used to do that as a kid. My son is nonverbal. My son would bring things and he would point and we have a tantrum. They say, you used to do that all the time. I said, I said, y'all didn't think to go to the doctor and be like, hey, my child is 5 years old. She's not talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the 90s.
Well, yeah.
I'm 35, so.
You're
Yeah,
around the same age as me, so I'm
Right.
imagining like during that time frame, a lot of people went under the radar.
Well, very much so.
I was under the radar.
Well, because think about it, at
And it's
that
super
at that
expensive.
time, anybody who was low support need or level 1, depending on how you want to word that, but anybody who was that, most of the time wasn't looked at for a neurological difference. They were looked at as having I don't know. Oh God, I'm blanking on the
They told
terms.
me, I remember
Yeah, they
in
just had social issues to be
behavior.
colloquial.
No, it was behavior
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me.
Like
In school, it was behavior.
yeah.
And I remember it very well.
Yeah.
And I was not a bad child. I just
No.
was misunderstood. And
Yes.
if somebody would have took the time when I was a child to really process what I was doing, they would have had the sense,
Right.
I'm gonna say common sense,
Yeah, rock and
to
roll.
realize this child is not neurotypical. And
Right. There's
it took
something
me 2
different.
years. It's
Yeah.
weird because it took me 2 years to process my own,
Mhm.
but when my son was diagnosed, it took me 2 days. So
Yeah.
it's like
Did
my
you start
son,
looking into it because of your son, or did you look
I
into it before
did.
that?
Yeah.
It was my son who inspired me to be like, maybe.
Yeah.
Every time my dad be like, you used to do that as a kid, I look at my dad like, I didn't talk until I got into school. So I didn't talk until I got around other kids.
Right. When you saw other people talking. Yeah.
And I learned how to read. I remember this very well. I learned how to read by memorizing words.
Yeah.
So I couldn't silent out. Remember, I couldn't talk.
Mhm.
So what I would do, I would memorize. I would hear the teacher say "duh,"
Yep.
so I would remember how to spell it, and that's how I learned how to read. I memorized the word.
Mhm.
So when somebody points to a word, even today, I don't do it as much now, but you point to a word and I don't know it, and you say it, I memorize it. That's how I actually learned how to read, was memorizing, because I couldn't. I wasn't the neurotypical child that can sound a word out. I had to figure out another way to learn how to read.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first person I ever told that to out loud.
Really? Well, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for telling us.
And I apologize for being. I'm kind of low energy this morning. I'm a little
You're
tired.
not
Oh
low
my
energy,
God. Oh my.
but yeah, that's how I learned how to read.
Yeah. I mean, that was a great way to
all the
figure it
markers
out.
were there. Right. I
Yeah.
feel like all the markers were there. It
Right.
just nobody took the time
Yeah.
and to understand it. And then, back then it was one out of 166, right?
Yeah.
So and especially in the Black community, we wasn't being diagnosed.
Right.
It wasn't a conversation.
Yep.
Then you got to think about it. Back then, the R word was used. We all know what the R word is
Oh,
on
yeah.
Spot Podcast. I don't have to say it.
Right.
So of course you got that word, and
Mhm.
and I understand why my parents didn't get me tested. They didn't want to go through that.
Right.
They didn't want me to go through that. But it don't matter. I was still in special education. I was
Mhm.
still heavily bullied.
Right. You
We
essentially
weren't
got all the negative side effects without necessarily any of the positives that come with a diagnosis. Yeah.
Nope.
Or that level of understanding.
By the way, before you
Mhm.
mentioned that you don't like the word normal, usually if we say it on the well, I speak for myself, but usually if I say normal, I usually use air quotes because
Yeah, he
I'm
does.
like just
He
saying what other people
Yeah,
would
yeah.
say, what other people would call quote unquote normal. You know,
And I
You know,
just
I
say
just say
average.
neurotypical.
What?
What'd you
I just
say?
say neurotypical.
You say
I
nurse.
just call
Yeah.
it neurotypical.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of amounts to the same thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
there are some people who use the word normal and they mean it derogatorily, right? Like, you're not one of those people kind of behavior, but like, no, normal just means what happens most often. It doesn't have a positive or negative to it per se, right? But some
But
people
you know,
do.
when you talk to people,
Yeah.
some people when you use that word,
Uh-huh.
some people have a negative way of thinking.
But they do.
Like I remember somebody said to me, their child wasn't normal.
Yeah.
And I said to them, I said, explain to me what that means.
Yep.
What does that look like? Because don't forget, I'm an advocate too, I'm an autism advocate.
Right.
And when I hear that word,
Mhm.
I'm not off put immediately because I want to hear how you're going to use the word.
Yeah. The
And depending on how
context.
you use it,
Yeah. The
then I'm
context
going
for
to
it.
correct. So I mean a lot of parents, especially Black parents,
Mhm.
that use that word, and I
Yeah.
know what they mean. but I have to. I anybody who knows me, they know I don't use that word at all. I
Right.
only use the word neurotypical
Mhm.
to the point that my friends now use it. They be like,
Yeah.
"Well, he's neurotypical." I
Mhm.
said, "I'm so proud of you
Yeah.
for acknowledging my feelings."
Yeah, I still use all of the language depending on who I'm talking to. Like there are still people out there who don't know that Asperger's syndrome was replaced, and it got merged into autism. And so when I'm talking to those people, I will still use that language because that's what they
I
know,
understand.
right? That's what they're comfy with. And so if I'm going to help them come to a more modern or a more nowadays understanding, I got to meet
Mhm.
them where they're at. And like I told you
I
before,
understand.
I was a counselor. I love to meet people where they're at. You know what I mean? Like, and also I don't call myself an advocate. I leave that up to people who are smarter and, more patient than I am.
No, you were smart, but a lot of people don't even
Oh,
know that Asperger's, he was racist, and that's one of the
it was.
reasons why. Yeah, when you do some research,
Yeah.
like, yeah,
I know
so it
I know
was
why they got rid
replaced.
of it. Like I understand why they got rid of it because of a lot of that
Some people don't.
association. Yeah, but that's part of what I help people with understanding about it. But if all they understand is that or function language or wherever they're at, I meet them there first and foremost, and then I kind of move it forward, right?
I have
If I
done
got
that
enough
before.
time, you know what I mean? Because like if you browbeat somebody and just tell them up front, no, that's the wrong language. This is what it is. They don't like, they're done. They're cut off and they don't
I feel
want to
like
hear
that
it.
comes off abrasive. I
Yes.
actually do it the way you do it,
Oh, good.
and then I listen.
Yeah.
I listen, and we listen and we listen and we don't judge. I listen to understand,
Yes.
and then we get into the conversation. Like, another reason I struggle with my self-diagnosis was he kept telling me I'm high functioning. I personally believe using the terms high functioning and low
Mhm.
functioning is offensive.
Okay.
I literally just had a conversation with another mom. Both our kids are on the same part of the spectrum.
Yeah, okay.
And she loves to tell people her kids low functioning. And
W
I say to
wait.
her, I said to her, I said, you don't think I said, she said, how you classify your son? I said, I'm gonna use that term. That's very, very offensive. She said, what do you mean? I said, so you telling me you say when your child's right there, you don't think your child is nonverbal, but you don't think your child understand what you're saying about low functioning. That is
Mm,
for insurance purposes. And I think it's very offensive. And you should say your child have higher support needs
right.
or versus have lower support needs. She
Yeah.
said, so I'm gonna tell you what happened after that. She
Sure.
didn't respond. She left me on red, and I feel like she left me on red to process it because we both found out at the same time my kid's autistic.
Oh, okay.
But we handle it differently because
Mm,
I'm an advocate now.
right.
Both our kids are 8 years old, and I'm really out here pushing what I love, which is me talking about autism,
Yeah.
me advocating. I go into the school systems, so I look at things differently from her. And it took her 6 months or a year to accept that diagnosis.
Right.
And I was on the back end telling her, you need to do this, you need to do that. You need
Mm,
to put your son in this program. If you did speech, well, I'm overwhelmed. Your child can be in school. Okay, baby.
yep.
So I have those conversations with people, and
Yeah.
sometimes they can handle what I'm saying, and sometimes they cannot. And it's okay. For me, it's okay because I'm walking away knowing I did my part as a mom
There you
and
go.
as an advocate and
Nice.
as a self-diagnosed autistic Black woman. I know I did my part.
Yeah. Absolutely. There you
Mhm.
go. I mean, like I said before, I'm not an advocate. I don't call myself an advocate or an activist because to me those are roles that people take on and there's a responsibility to both of those. And I do not look at it as my responsibility to change minds anymore. Especially now that I'm not a counselor. Like I don't find it my place. And sometimes it's not my place just because like I'm just autistic, right? Like I don't get into as much research as some other people. I don't try to shape the way education is. Like that's to me that's not my place. That's
I
for
love that
other
you said
people.
that. I love that you said that. I
Oh,
feel like
thanks.
when you call yourself an advocate,
Yeah.
that role
Mhm.
is some big shoes to fill.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
feel like you just can't call yourself an advocate and you're not really doing it. Like me personally, I know for a fact I go into the school systems,
Mhm.
I educate parents. I know for a fact I am an IEP advocate. I'm going to school
Yeah.
to fight for your kid. And I'm also working on a bill in Georgia. So I'm actively advocating like I'm
Right.
for real an advocate. No, like in the beginning, I didn't call myself advocate.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I was just a mom on a mission trying to normalize the conversation around autism. That was me in the beginning.
Right.
And then people start calling me an advocate. I started getting asked to do podcast interviews. And I said, well, I guess I'm an advocate.
Yep.
And it just happened. This
Yeah.
this have found me to the point last night. Somebody said to me, because I'm so passionate about this. They said, have you thought about being an advocate lawyer? I said, you know what's so funny? I have.
Oh, that's
Because
awesome.
I have thought about it because the school systems
Yeah.
really be doing these kids so wrong. And the
In lots of
parents
ways.
be so uneducated. And
Yeah.
the parents don't even know that these schools are breaking the law. And
Mhm.
I had one parent didn't even know it was a law.
Yeah.
I said, let's break this law down. And she said, how can you remember all this? Because I'm a mom
Mhm.
and I'm an advocate.
Yeah.
And I've had an experience when my son has had a bad teacher.
Mhm.
But I changed. I now go into my son's school when it's time for me to do IEP meetings. I got another one coming up soon. I'm an advocate. I am not a
Mm.
mom. I cut it on and off.
Yeah.
I know that may be weird to some people. What do you mean you cut it on and off? When I go into the school,
Mhm.
I am not a mom. I am Crystal Jordan, the advocate.
Right.
Nice to meet you. I have on a suit, my locks be in this neat bun, and I'm ready to advocate.
Right. You
When I go
compartmentalize your
in,
roles. Yeah.
they're so used to me.
Mm.
Now, when I go in jeans and a t-shirt,
Mhm.
I'm not an advocate today. I'm a mom.
Right. Right.
So they know the difference based on what I wear and how
Yeah.
I'm talking to you. I have a different tone. The
Right.
the advocate tone is so assertive. The mom tone is so relaxed.
Yeah.
But so it's like, and it's so weird. Since I changed my mindset,
Mhm.
my son education has been so much better.
Yeah.
It's this has been his best year yet.
Nice.
He's
Nice.
thriving. And I'm like, okay, advocate Crystal. And I'll be like, okay, I cheer myself on. My mom be laughing because I call my son my client.
Okay. When
He's
you're
a
in that mode, you call him your client?
He's my client.
Yeah.
And when I go in, I'll be like, my client needs.
Mhm.
I know they don't look at me like that. I know they be thinking like Crystal a trip, but it's funny because they respect me so well.
That's
So
wonderful.
Well,
Yeah. As they should.
speaking of that, so Zachariah's World, you want to tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
that?
Tell us about that.
oh yeah, you guys. So I have this brand that I created for my son. I plan to give to him. It's called Zachariah World. I created it to celebrate autism and be friendly. I wanted a friendly autism brand and for autistic people. And I write books. I'm an author. So what made me become an advocate is my first book, Just Like You. Just Like You is a book about a Black boy on the spectrum who's nonverbal, who's starting school. And it's funny because when I wrote it, he was starting school, but it's not true, but it's kind of true. It's funny. But I have so many books
Mhm.
that I talk about autism awareness and acceptance. I have positive affirmation books for
Cool.
kids on the spectrum, and they're not, race specific. But I'm so big on making sure that autistic kids feel loved as they become adults
Absolutely.
because they're gonna become adults, and I need
Yeah.
them to know that they're seen, they're heard, and they're gonna be heard. That for me, I'm making sure I share them through my body of work. So that's Zachariah
Yeah.
World.
Awesome.
And it's I have shirts that I need to get back on, but Zachariah World, just go in there and you'll see. And I also
Yeah.
put resources on there. So if you have resources that you guys have or are you listening to, you want to send me some for your state, please send it to me and I'll add it to the website.
Cool.
Um, Zachariah World is really meant to be a resource, just like Auesomely magazine. So
Yeah, I looked up the website before our interview, and I saw it's kind of like a hub where there's a bunch of different categories of things. I saw you have sensory toys, and so it's like
mhm.
kind of there's a whole bunch of stuff on there. So it's not just like one specific thing, but it's kind of like a hub of resources and
Mhm.
things for people with
It
autism.
is a hub. I never thought of it like that. Uh, I like everything in categories. I can't help it.
Mhm.
Like I like everything in categories.
Yeah,
It's
me
like
too.
really my thing, and I love spreadsheets. So it's kind of if you really look at Zachary World with another eye, it's kind of like a spreadsheet in a sense. But
Yeah, well, it's
I
very very
love the
organized. You have all the different
Yeah.
categories laid out. But yeah, just there's a lot of different categories there, and it's like kind of all it's nice and neat, and there's all different things on there, and
Thank
So
you.
you were
I
rather
really
impressed then.
yeah, I liked it. I mean, I didn't get a chance to like look through every single thing on it, but I was clicking around looking at the different things you have
What
on
are you
there.
saying? Autistic people can't be organized and have nice looking websites?
No, I don't know.
man, oh my God, building a website sometime is
Oh yeah.
stressful 'cause I'm trying to build my new website for my
Mm.
new magazine.
Yep. And that would be the Auesomely You magazine.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit. Because he kind of showed me the web page, but I didn't really pay attention. It was Steve. So tell us about that. Like, obviously, we understand what inspired that for the most part, right? Like, because you yourself and your child are both and you're an advocate. So obviously it is going to be centered around autism. But tell us more about like what it's I don't know who you market to or what it's for. Like, I'm gonna
You know
babble
what?
until you start. So, what else is
You're
going
funny.
on?
So, okay, so also in the beginning,
Yeah,
y'all getting the real exclusive.
I
In the
love that.
beginning, it was just gonna be focused on autism.
Mhm.
That was the vision. But as I started to work
Uh-oh, we're starting to
on
lose
it,
you internet wise.
can y'all hear me now?
Hold on, because yeah,
It
it
just
got real
lagged. It just
choppy.
lagged for
Yeah.
a minute there.
Okay, I think we're back though.
You got to
Okay.
jiggle the Ethernet cord.
Yep, there you go.
All right.
Okay,
So so I know he gonna edit that part, so I'm gonna start over.
I'm
So
a hope.
y'all getting a real exclusive. I hope he edit that part. If not, it's okay. You guys are getting a real exclusive because in the beginning, Auesomely You was going to just be a magazine centered around autism and celebrate people on the spectrum. But as I got into the community, I realized something that was so real. I realized there's not other magazines celebrating everybody else with every other disability and
Mm,
neurodiversity. So I said, you know what? I'm still going to focus heavily on autism, but
right.
now I'm going to celebrate cerebral palsy, epilepsy. I'm going to celebrate ADHD. My son have ADHD.
Mhm.
I don't really talk about it because I try to. I'm before I talk about ADHD, I want to learn more about it, which I
Mhm.
have, and it's so similar to autism. It cross over, honestly.
Oh
But
yeah.
I want to people that have that. I want to celebrate mental health awareness. So, also, You magazine is for autism, but it's for it's for the umbrella for
Right.
neurodiversity.
Rather than focusing on like negatives or issues necessarily, kind of focusing more on positives and celebrating the individual people.
Yeah.
That's right. That kind of what it
Yes,
sounds like.
Yeah.
and I call everybody awesome. So, for example, one of my person that is one of the my awesome person that's on the cover, she's an autistic artist, and she's making waves. I have an autistic guy who is nonverbal until 14, and he's been nominated for 7 Grammys. Somebody else, she's gonna be on the cover. Her son has Jordan syndrome, which is very rare. So I'm super excited about what I'm doing. And I also all my writers,
Mhm.
this is God. All of my writers have a disability. 3 of my writers are autistic. One has an invisible disability. Well, I guess 5 because I'm 5. To everybody who writes in the magazine is like some way in the neurodiverse community. Um, some of my media correspondents are on the spectrum. So even one of my media correspondents is a BCBA, and I love that because I know ABA is some people like, some people don't. I'm
Yeah.
pro ABA
Okay.
because my son, when he's the ABA, his goals are not to be neurotypical.
Right.
That we're not doing that.
Right.
The goal is for we to work on self-regulation because
Mhm.
when he get mad, he hits himself. I'm
Yeah.
working on safety stuff. But Auesomely Youth is really going to be a staple, and I want it to be a resource. I also have doctors that are going to write articles to educate parents. I'm going to have a session where parents can ask questions, and I'm going to have people that respond.
Mhm.
I also have a late diagnosis column for anybody who is autistic or self-diagnosed later. You
Mhm.
can write and send it to me, and I'm going to publish it. I also have a
Nice.
session called My Awesome Story for teens on the spectrum because my son is going to be a teenager. and you guys can send your artwork, you can send your stories, and it's going to be published. I created this for the community, and I also created you to give to my son when he get older, and I want to step down. I plan to give it to him for he can be an autistic CEO.
Awesome.
Is
Awesome.
it is or any? But well, I know that the children's book is something that's print, but any of the magazine stuff, is that anything you plan on printing, or is it just digital?
So that I just got answers last night. So I do plan to be print.
Good.
The reason I want to be print is because I need it in schools. I need it in the doctor offices. I need people to understand how awesome people who have disabilities are.
Right.
I need people to understand just because you have a disability don't mean you're not enough. We are enough. Our disabilities do not define us because we are awesome just the way we are. But sometimes other people don't see that.
To me, that actually goes a lot further than some of the loudmouths who are activists and advocates. To me, it goes a lot further when somebody randomly who doesn't really know autism well, doesn't know much about neurodivergent people, randomly sees something and goes, "Oh, really? That person has their own magazine? Huh, that's really cool." To me, that means more to somebody than somebody yelling and screaming, "How dare you call us blah, blah, blah." Because it's on their time in their place to do so. I know I keep going back to this whole like meet them where they're at thing, but like it's ingrained in me as a human being to meet people where they're at, right?
Well, you don't change anybody's mind by,
by browbeating them with it.
Yeah.
That's true, Christian. Stop browbeating people. No, I'm like, stop Bible thumping me. No.
Never convinced anybody by
it doesn't convince
that.
anybody. Plus, it closes the conversation by doing that.
I'm like, I'm not going to listen to them. They're being an asshole.
Like don't get me wrong. We've interviewed people, and we're now friends with people who are activists who work in Washington D.C. and work with legislative people. And I've told them, in conversation that what they're doing is cool and it's important, and you're trying to change laws, but society doesn't change just because somebody make a law. Society doesn't change when somebody yells and screams. Society changes when somebody meets somebody that changes the way they view the world. And what?
I'm sorry.
Say that again, because it cut out.
I was about
right
to
when you
say,
said it.
and that's the point of the magazine. So when I look at other magazines, when I look at autism parenting and all the other magazines, the covers are very boring. It don't make you want to pick it up. It don't make you be like, I want to know what this is.
Yeah.
So when people hear the name Auesomely You, which I trademarked,
Awesome.
they're like, I love that. And they want to know more about what is this? What are you talking about? And you are right. I am meeting people where they are, but the magazine is gonna be a resource. And not even just that. Is once I get capital, it's gonna be a way that I can hire people that's in a neurodiverse space, nonverbal, that can work for my brand.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I always say that it's not my brand, it's the community brand. Because I literally I looked at my spreadsheet the other night and I said, oh my God, all my writers are amazing in their own way.
We need to get you sponsored by Microsoft. You love spreadsheet. We need to get you an Excel.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they want to sponsor me, you know what I'm saying? I love that.
This magazine is brought to you by Microsoft Excel.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes,
there you
I
go.
love. A spreadsheet is the best way. It keeps you so organized. People don't understand.
I'm a little
triggered
triggered by spreadsheets because of one of my previous jobs where I had to use them all day long, every day. I did, VLOOKUPs and all kinds of crazy functions. And
see, I like looking at them because they're organized. Yeah,
no,
I just don't like making them.
We had like all those complicated formulas and stuff we had to use where it like pulls information from other sheets and all that.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh no, I'm not that complicated.
No, me neither. Like I can't even make a spreadsheet, but God, I like looking at them because they're organized. Like it just makes sense. Columns.
Well, Bobby, look at that sheet.
Yeah. Oh, good God! Really, you're gonna do old man voice on me? All right. So on our show,
an old man.
I act like an old man. Well, actually, it's not even on our show. In real life, I'm like a 70-year-old man trying to figure out like a cell phone for the first time.
Dang it, Bobby, what's an Android?
Yeah, like, all right, I'm a little slow when it comes to technology. What can I say?
What's a goddamn AirPod?
You know what?
Yeah.
I'm not tech savvy when it comes to my phone. So if I need something with my phone, I always ask somebody,
Yeah.
or I get on YouTube.
Oh no, I
It's
ask
me.
him.
I'm very-
I just ask him.
Yeah.
Like at any time there. Okay, here's I don't know. I was almost said embarrassing, but I don't get embarrassed by shit. Here's the story. So Steve had to not only walk me through Google Drive, but he had to walk me through how to copy stuff, move a folder to somewhere, move like a file to another spot. And he also had to point out that there's a little button thing that says shared with me, because they kept going, I don't see it. And he's like, did you push
And you know
shared
what?
with
It's
me? And I'm
because
like,
you wasn't
no.
exposed to it. So
No.
it's
Well, I mean,
okay.
I wasn't.
He
but,
was
like,
exposed to the MMR vaccine.
Yes.
Oh.
But I do not but I don't go out of my way to learn new stuff and all that. Like, because I don't care about
I
technology.
challenge
Like,
you
honestly,
for 2025 to learn new things.
Crystal, I make
I've got a
jokes
Fold
about
just so I can watch TV. I do not have a Samsung Fold because I need it for productivity. No, I watch TV bigger on it. That
I make jokes about stuff. So I made a vaccine joke there, but like
yeah.
obviously I'm kidding, but you know
it was just
there are still a lot of people who
I
thinks
figured.
vaccines
Yeah.
cause autism. But I
Yeah.
make a joke.
No, it's oh my god! I had somebody recently.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a couple days ago.
It's been
They
big on
said-
social media again. Like people
Yeah.
are
Well, because
of
RFK.
well, it's not just him, but it's
Well, I mean, yeah,
part
and
of-
all the people who still believe that.
it's partially him.
Well,
But
yeah. Well, I mean, I will
No,
say this much though.
It's his new interview he just did. I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about 25 years ago. And I said, you're dumb. It was 1 out of 106. And
Mhm.
I just say, you just heard dumb. But when I hear people talk about the vaccine and
Yeah.
autism, and somebody asked me, well, since you autistic, did you get vaccinated?
Yes.
I said, I'm 35.
Mhm.
Yes, I got vaccinated back then. So you don't think that it caused your autism then? I said back then we wasn't even talking about autism.
Nope.
I said, what? And they was like, yes. And I was like, they said, well, you don't think your son is autistic because he got vaccinated?
Mhm.
No, I don't.
Well, I always ask the question when somebody goes in that direction or even brings up vaccines at all. I always ask, what does it matter? Like, even if they did, hypothetically, let's play this game a little bit, even if they did cause it. And then somebody said, well, we've got to retool the vaccine to make sure it doesn't. Cool, but there's already millions of people who are autistic. They already exist. We still need to talk. We still need to make accommodation. When we still need resources. So whether they do cause autism or not, which the three of us know they don't, and most people in the community know they don't cause it.
Would you rather have?
But even if so,
would you
people
rather
still
have some?
exist.
If it did cause autism,
Yeah.
would you rather have people out there who are autistic or like measles outbreaks everywhere?
And I would rather have autistic people than, people dying of measles or polio or shit like that. I'd rather have autistic.
Yeah, there's a
but
measles
that's-
outbreak right now in Texas.
Yeah, but that's the next part.
It's a Mennonite community, so
Yeah.
Mennonite people don't get
So
vaccines typically.
but that's the other side of where I go with it is I ask that question, what would you rather have? Like you just proposed. And I've honestly had people say, well, measles, we can figure another way to get rid of. And I said, well, nobody did. And nobody has figured any other way. You have to be vaccinated so we don't have an outbreak of measles.
And not even that.
And then I
People
asked,
like
what's
to
wrong with
argue
autistic
it.
people to make you want a disease opposed to autism? And actually one person said, because they're violent. And I said, I haven't punched you in the face once. But anyway, that's just me being an asshole to them.
That's another part of this. That part is another thing that triggers me. It's a spectrum for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
And I say all the time, autism is a million different, is one word,
Right.
1 million different stories,
Yeah.
unknown, whoever created that quote. And when you look at the word,
Uh-huh.
yes, I'm autistic, you autistic, but we have 3 different stories that we translate.
Sure.
And so my question is,
Uh-huh.
you see one person on the internet going crazy.
Yeah.
That's your view on autism. How about you take time to educate yourself?
Well-
How about you take time to talk to your jobs about inclusion?
Mhm.
How about it's DEI going on right now? When the last time have you talked to your jobs about hiring somebody who is neurodiverse or autistic or especially nonverbal, non-speaking? Those are my questions. I do it at my job all the time.
Right.
We just had a meeting the other day and we were talking about eye contact. And I told him I don't make eye contact that long. It's uncomfortable.
Right.
They said, but, and then I said, I challenged them. I said, so you telling me that somebody who's near the or who's on the spectrum or neurodiverse, you're requiring us to make eye contact, and then they retract. They say, no, I'm not saying it like that. It's different for different people. No, that should not be a requirement.
Right. It shouldn't be at
And
all.
they looked at me.
Yeah.
Mind you, my big boss is in there. And then they're like, Crystal, y'all know how I am. I'm gonna look at your pimple on your nose.
Mhm.
I'm gonna look at your eyebrow. I'm gonna look at something weird on your face. I'm not gonna make direct eye contact too long. It's uncomfortable. I never have done that.
Mhm.
So I'm not gonna do it now. That's not customer service.
Yep.
So sorry. Write me up.
So,
And
like
I
with
told them it wasn't friendly.
yeah, with my new job, because with my new job, I'm openly autistic for the first time in my job, right? And this person that I was working with, she was like, "Well, I hope you don't mind, but I've got to score this assessment. I won't look at you a lot." And I said, "I actually prefer you not look at me when I'm talking, and trust me, I'm not going to look in your direction. I already told you I'm autistic. I don't really like making eye contact, and quite frankly, when I look at somebody's face, I'm looking at all the little details and all the little imperfections on the face. I don't want to do that to you because I want to live openly as an autistic person, and I
That
want to
is
be
me.
as unmasked as I can." And she goes, "Well, but most people find that rude." And I said, "Yeah, you're going to have to learn a whole new social thing about how to deal with autistic people because we all have our particulars about what it
And
means to
you
be
know what's
social."
crazy? I agree. Like, a lot of people
Yeah.
think it's rude to make eye contact. And this is something I do now.
Hmm.
When I'm done talking to you, I'm done talking to you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk away.
Yeah. I'm
And
done
you know
saying
what's
what
so
I have to
funny?
say.
Somebody told my business partner, well, most people told my business partner, that's rude. Well, I was done talking to you.
Right. And for
You
some
want me
people
to
it
just sit
is
there and stare at
like
you? No.
like here's an example with me and Steve, right? Like if he doesn't have a response for something I said, he won't even acknowledge that I spoke. He is listening, but there are times because, conditioned a certain way and I'm late diagnosed, there are still times where I'm like, can you give some level of a response that I spoke? Because, I need to know that you were actually listening, right? Granted.
I personally need validation
See, there
when
you
I'm
go.
talking.
So, but that would be
If
the
you ignore me,
accommodation your friends would
it's gonna
give you.
drive me crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I need you just to respond,
Right.
please.
Yeah.
Just
Well, people
respond.
think I'm not listening, but I hear everything they
Yeah.
say.
Like, a couple of days ago, I was over here and I made a proposal of something we should do for the show, and he was just clicking away on his on his computer screen, and he was doing something completely different. Said nothing to me, and I went, "Do you have any thoughts about it?" And he goes, "I heard you. I don't dislike it. I just didn't have anything to say to you." And I was like, "Oh, you want to go get food?" Oh, okay. Because I need to know that somebody's listening because that's how I was raised. So I've got that in my head, but it's also a matter of like, I'm so long-winded. I also need to know that you understood what I said because I know I just said 20 minutes worth of, hey, you want to go get something to eat? Because I'm very, very long-winded. I mean, as the story my mother tells, when I was a kid, I talked so much that they had no questioning of me being autistic because I just would not shut up. So they
You
had
know
the
what's
opposite
funny?
problem for me.
When
Granted,
I
I don't
started
say a lot of
talking,
sense.
I used to talk too much.
Yeah,
So my mom,
I get told all the
my
time.
mom and dad made jokes about my son.
Mhm.
They love. Let me disclaimer.
Uh-huh.
My parents love their grandson.
Of course.
They said when he started talking,
Mhm.
you're gonna be like, shut up. Because they said when you started talking, you just talked and talked.
Uh-huh.
And I had a lot to say at that point.
Well,
I've been
yeah.
listening to y'all talking. I can talk now. I'm
Mhm.
gonna talk. I
Yep.
said when he does it, if he ever starts talking, I'm gonna be like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's all you gotta say?
Yeah.
Because I have hope that he's gonna talk.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when.
Rolling back a little bit before you said, you said something along the lines of that people don't educate themselves. And I had a comment to say about that. I think a lot of times people don't educate themselves or learn anything about anything in the world or other people unless they're confronted by it or it affects them themselves. So
Yes.
like people probably don't know, like the average person probably doesn't know much about cancer, but as soon as they get cancer, they're going to
Right. Then they
learn
a
everything
crap
they can
ton.
about cancer. Or
Yeah.
if you have an autistic child, now you're looking at, but
Right.
I'm saying like the average person probably doesn't know much about autism,
Right.
but until it affects them.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Unless they're confronted with it, unless they're exposed to people.
Well, same thing with how people can their perception of what is autism or any category, like any label you want to put on something. They only know what they've seen. right?
What,
So if
Rain
the
Man?
only reference Rain Man or The Good Doctor or Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, if that's the only reference they have, then that's what they have to go on.
I feel
Now,
like The Big Bang Theory is not a good reference
oh
because
my
first
God, I
off,
love that show.
it's an actor,
Well, yeah, of course.
and second off, and even The Good Doctor,
Yeah.
not a good reference
Okay.
because they try to put all these perspectives into one character, which
Yeah.
is inaccurate, which is another conversation for another whole episode.
Yeah. Talking about
So
representation and stuff.
it's not a good
Yeah.
representation. I feel like it's a conversation starter,
Mm.
but if you don't take the time to go beyond TV,
Right.
let's
Well,
be real.
but
Then
like
you don't know what it is.
part of the issue with that is like if you don't have an autistic person in your life, or you don't know potentially that there's an autistic person, and you see The Good Doctor, you're like, oh, that's a cool show. Okay, that's an autistic person.
Why
They
I
don't.
recommend watch Love on the Spectrum. I mean, no, is it Love on the Spectrum? Watch that.
Yeah,
Watch,
Love on the Spectrum. But some
or
people have a
watch
problem with that show
something.
too. And they think that's not a good representation of autistic people, even though, like, we've interviewed one of the people on that show, from that show, I should say, like, all of those people are a good variety of what autism can
And
present like.
I don't see how that's not a good representation. They're all
I
different.
think it is.
They all have
Yeah.
different lives.
Right.
And dating, being autistic is not easy. I'm 35
No.
and single, and I struggle.
Mm.
So I don't see how that's a bad representation.
Right.
It shows everybody in different way, different life.
I agree with you.
I think that some people complain about the show because it's mainly people with lower support needs, and then also they're accused of like infantilizing the people.
Well, you know what? You got to make it palatable for fucking neurotypical people.
Although according to,
No, not even that. People that that have lower support, higher support needs,
yeah,
they need love too.
Yeah,
you say low or
absolutely.
higher?
They would be higher support need. A lot of them are higher
Yeah.
support need.
who?
Yeah,
A lot of the people on the show are
No,
higher
they're
support.
lower.
lower. Oh,
there's
now from
quite a few of them that are
I
higher
get
support.
what you're saying.
I'm
get-
saying
yeah.
that
Okay.
it's like it's a certain like there's certain things in common with the people on the show. But yeah, I mean, most of them are pretty like they may be living with their parents and stuff, but they're a little more independent.
Okay, then I'm going to word it this way, and
Yeah.
I'm going to piss off somebody when I say this, but I'm going to word it this way. Most of the folks that are on Love on the Spectrum, both the Australian version and the US version, are higher support need than the three of us. Okay, I'm going to say it that way. And if that pisses somebody off, let me know in the comments. Just
Yeah, they
tell me
are
I'm
higher
wrong.
support
I'm okay
need.
with that. But most of them are like, I'm not going to name names, but I was going to name specific people, but I'm not going to. There's a couple of people on that show that do live independently, that they do hold down jobs, that they do a lot of what is considered independent living kind of stuff. But a lot of the people on that show, they need somebody to.
I'm not
be
saying
around.
that's my position. I'm just saying what people have criticized.
know,
They
I
also
know.
Yeah,
The,
because they want people that represent people that need higher support needs.
Yes.
Well,
Like,
people that's low spectrum, people
Yeah.
that's low on the spectrum.
yeah, but
Yeah.
depending on how the person is too, they might be hard for like how do you make a dating show about somebody who is really high support needs? You know, it might be difficult.
well, yeah, when you get to a certain point, like if somebody's high support need to the point where they're living in a group home, that's a much harder show to make when it comes to Love on the Spectrum. And I get that. Again, they got to make it palatable for some people.
Stuff,
What?
but I feel like back to whittling
Oh,
back
yeah.
in, doing the research is
Yeah.
important, and
I think
just
so.
taking time to just talk. My challenge to anybody who's listening is ask your job when the last time they consider hiring people that's neurodiverse. Ask them what are their stands on DEI and how can they be more inclusive
I
today.
thought we got rid of that.
Oh,
Kidding.
It's not DEI.
yeah, they're trying. They're trying. You know what? Like,
That was sarcasm.
even if
I
they
know.
change,
I know.
Oh,
You saw
okay.
my face, like
yeah. But even if they change the language from calling it now DEI, or they call it something else, or if they say whatever new wording they're going to come up with next, the whole point is that everybody deserves a place, and everybody should be
everybody
included.
deserves to work.
Yeah, everybody deserves it,
My thing
and
is
that's
these
really what it comes
companies-
down to.
But I'm happy Target is doing bad because I'm boycotting,
Oh, okay.
and I'm happy they're doing bad because our dollars matter.
Uh-huh.
As a Black woman, it matters. As
Yeah.
a Black autistic, it matters.
Yeah.
Why not celebrate all of these amazing things, but y'all decide to take away because of the current
Right.
orange person.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
don't
They,
then
they,
y'all say y'all intimidated.
yeah,
What y'all
I mean,
intimidated about? Y'all are a
they
billion-dollar
changed
brand.
they changed the names of certain things, and
They did.
they supposedly got rid of DEI programs,
They did.
just because the people coming in, they didn't want to ostracize those people. Well, I will say this much though, like when it comes to that, it's not like they removed any Black-owned business brands from their stores when they got
They
rid of those
didn't.
programs.
All
Like
they did was just change the names and
that,
stuff. But my thing is,
like that's it.
this is my question to
Yeah.
that company.
Sure.
When they decided that,
Yeah.
they didn't foresee the
Yeah.
boycotts. They didn't foresee seeing the council culture.
Oh yeah. Oh, they
They
did.
didn't see it
Oh
because
yeah.
they're down over $25 billion as we speak.
They're out 25 billion.
Mhm.
Out of how much did they make the year before?
I don't know, but they're
Yeah.
down right now. They're hurting really bad.
Okay. I don't look into that
I
whatsoever.
know you don't.
No,
I
no,
know
no.
you
Wait, why do you say it that way?
because like not in that way. But
Oh.
you say you don't like doing research.
Yeah, some things I
And
don't look into.
and you don't look into things. So
Yeah.
I just that's why I say I know you don't. Not in that
Ah.
way.
Oh, okay.
But I already knew it's not
All right.
something that interests you today. You know, like
Yeah,
why you gonna look it up?
Like how much money that Target's going to lose because of it, they're going to recover. And like
You think
they're
so?
and they're going to keep going as a company.
Their stock is doing pretty bad right now.
That's all right. Companies bounce back from it, and they're a large enough corporation where they can float it, and they probably will.
I don't see them bouncing back. I'm gonna keep in contact with you. I don't see them bouncing back.
So unfortunately, I think they will, because I think that some of and just even to step away from Target, some of the other companies that are being boycotted too, like even if they lose half their profit this year, they'll make it back next year, and they made more than enough last year to float this year, right? And that's unfortunate.
Mhm.
At the same time, it doesn't amount to much in the end. But here's what I will say that people who have been negatively affected by it. And I don't know the exact numbers or any of that stuff, but I do know that the only way I had reference to certain companies, okay, that were sold in Target was because Target sold them. And I know there are several companies that actually did drastically better and were able to grow their business because their product got put into Target. But now they're being affected by it because people refuse to go into Target. Now, granted,
some of them are being affected. Some of them are not because consumers are going on their website
directly. Yeah, they're going directly. Yeah, they're switching over to direct
to the stuff versus going to Target about it.
I was just going to add that I think a lot of times when people boycott businesses, a lot of them I think do end up surviving it just because like people for a long time were boycotting like Chick-fil-A because of some of their they were
their
giving money to anti-LGBTQ Christian stuff. But a lot of these like Chick-fil-A is still spreading and still doing well. But I think what happens is, there's a few things. One is that people eventually give up boycotting. So they do it for a while and then they stop, they give up on it, or they forget it. And I think another thing is it's lack of options or choices. Like when a lot of people don't have many options of where to shop, especially if you live in like let's say
a more rural area. Yeah.
If you live in a rural area or if you live in an area that's economically disenfranchised or whatever, there might not be many options for you to go to. Right. So what do? It's like, well, I have no other choice. I have to go to this place, or these are the places I have to shop.
And that's not the vast majority of the country.
I'm just saying, like, there's reasons why.
There are places like
it is people like that. Some people have to drive like probably an hour or 40 minutes to go to Costco's.
Right.
But Costco's made it very clear that they support DEI, and I can't remember their statement, but their statement was so beautiful.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And they literally did it very close to when Target said they're not going to do it anymore. Costco almost immediately came out with their statement about it. Like I would say if somebody was going to boycott,
sales have went up so high. Yeah. Like I'm about to be a Costco member. I'm leaving Sam's Club, which is Walmart, to go to Costco's because
Costco's better anyway.
I'm excited.
Like Costco is much better than Sam's Club. It really is. They have more variety. They got more stuff kicking, and they like keep up with things a lot better.
My issue with some of the DEI stuff is that a lot of companies say they do things, or they put stuff on paper and they act like it, but they don't actually.
They don't really
actually practice what they're preaching. So they'll say, like, in my experience, just coming at it from the neurodiverse angle.
It becomes
is
more
companies talk
performative.
about how they want different, we want to be inclusive. We have all different kinds of people.
We want all voices. So
But
we
then
hired one guy.
they focus on, they don't actually do anything about it.
That's
Or
not
they,
even 1% though.
but they,
What?
What you said when they want all
they said
voices
we
and
hired one
everything.
guy.
Yeah.
But then like they only want to hire people who are how do I explain this? They want to like people who have certain, when they talk about inclusion, they're not talking about people with disabilities or people with, they're talking about like, oh, we want to make sure we have people who look a little bit different so it looks
Right.
like we care.
Yeah, we want the person in the wheelchair, not the person with dyslexia.
Or people with invisible
Right.
disabilities.
They're
not talking about people or disabilities that are more palatable,
Yes.
right? Because
Or
if somebody
visible.
visible, but also like if somebody has autism, well, they might be it might be annoying to work with this person, or it might be like if their behavior might irritate me, so I don't want to work with those people. So what they mean is we want to have some people who look a little bit different.
Right.
We'll hire an Asian guy, and we'll hire people who look a little bit different, so that they looks like they're trying to be
Right.
inclusive, but they don't actually care about being
So
inclusive.
they can make
They
a
don't.
poster.
And and right now it's bleeding out.
Mhm.
It's showing so clear. So even like when I started my other magazine, I made it a purpose to have an autistic writer,
Right.
because no, we're going to celebrate people with disabilities over here, and I'm so big on that. Nobody can ever say I'm not big on that, because I want to make sure that
Right.
as I grow, I want to make sure I always have people in the forefront of the business who is on the spectrum or neurodiverse or have invisible disabilities. But people don't even talk about invisible disabilities like that.
Yeah,
It's true. It's absolutely true.
yes. You look like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah, I had to stop for a second because I needed to refocus on that.
No, well,
think-
he's
I
looking
think-
at the bullet points I wrote down
Yes.
about you, but if you wanted to move on to
I know
something
he hates
else,
it when I do it. It's just like
he makes it
I've
very
had
obvious
to-
whenever he's looking
Yeah.
at my notes.
You know what? Everybody
He's
who's
like-
listened to our show knows full well Nick gets a little distracted and goes, "Oh yeah, now I can read it," and then I keep track of it. Like I can't hide it. Why would I hide what the fuck I am?
And
Like,
you're hiding what
that's what I
you're
do.
not. You're being yourself. It's okay.
Like,
I
it's
just
it's
tease,
what I do.
just tease him because he makes it very obvious.
He does. Well, because I'm not trying to hide it. Like you don't need it. It's mostly up there for me anyway. You could remember all those bullet points on your own.
So
okay, my
would you
bad.
like
I
to-
can't.
Uh,
My bad. I didn't realize I was supposed to I don't know, look a certain way on. Oh my god.
Y'all are
b-
so funny.
besides autism, right? I was reading that you have Becoming Her magazine, and which is that under Sisterhood Publishing?
So those are two different brands. Becoming
Okay.
Her magazine is a magazine I co-founded with my business partner Jasmine Hawkins. That's a magazine where we empower women, and we focus on positive media. So we amplify women's voices, stories through that platform. Every month we feature somebody different, and we feature women of all race, shapes, sizes, because one thing I noticed, me being a black woman, people think that I just want to create brands just for people who look like me. That is actually inaccurate. I want to create brands where people can be celebrated.
Yeah,
And
for
and
humans to
show
be
that voice.
celebrated.
Right.
Yeah,
Everybody deserves to be celebrated.
absolutely.
So Becoming Her magazine is that. Sisterhood Publishing is a brand where I focus on helping moms and grandmas become published authors. Now you can be an auntie or an uncle, that's cool, but I really focus on moms and grandmas becoming published authors, because we have stories.
Mhm.
I don't think nobody would know who I am if I didn't write my book just like you.
Mm.
So, and because of that book, I have book speaking gigs. I have income that comes in every month. I do podcast interviews. All this came from one thing, and that came from me being an author. So I want to spread that among what I do to other people.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful.
Thank
Did I hear you say before you're from Georgia or you're in
I'm from
Georgia?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Is that where
Yeah,
you are right now?
I am.
Okay.
Born and raised.
Okay. So I did hear you say Georgia.
I
Okay.
am from Georgia. Yeah.
Don't mind me. I'm making a note real quick.
Yep. And now I'm going to
'Cause
sidestep.
you made me think of something.
Yeah, I'm going to sidestep exactly what I just asked you with something completely different. So I follow somebody, well, I should say we follow somebody on Instagram, Sisters with Awesome Kids.
Look her up.
Yep. Well, it's a group of women with kids who are on the spectrum. I think some of them identify as being on the spectrum too. But they do talks and conferences and fundraiser stuff a bunch. And I could have sworn they were from Atlanta area. I could be horribly wrong on this part, but I could have sworn they were from the Atlanta area. So speaking of connecting,
I don't see it.
Okay, I'll send you the link later. Yeah, I can because we follow them on Instagram, and it's Sisters with Awesome Kids,
With children.
or Awesome Children. Maybe it's Awesome Children. Oh, awesome the way you spell awesome, because they're about autism. Yeah, I was trying to talk to them at one point to have somebody come on our show, but I figure I'll point it out because you're talking about women with kids on the spectrum and stuff like that.
It says they're
I
from
love their website.
Peachtree, Georgia.
Oh, there you go, Peachtree, Georgia. Okay.
Wherever that is.
Yeah, I don't
They're
know.
called Sisters with Awesome Children.
Yeah, there you go. I just made the connection. You said Georgia, and I was like, oh wait, I follow somebody who also is in that world, and also it's a group of women that are supporting and celebrating their autistic kids.
Georgia.
Yeah, man. I'm just gonna filter my voice through you from now on.
Back
Yeah.
in my day.
You know what's funny?
Huh.
I'm already a member.
Oh.
And I didn't even.
Well, because of you talking about Become Her magazine and who you celebrate with that, and also Auesomely You magazine, that's a group that matches both
I wonder
those
what
categories.
their Instagram is though, because I don't see their Instagram. So
Yeah, well, I tried to reach out to them at one point to see if we can get somebody.
Well, you do right now.
Well, she's not a part of them.
I'm a member of their Facebook
their
group.
face-
I'm not. I'm not the person who created it, but
Yeah, I was
that
trying to get one of the people who actually run the thing to come on the show at some point.
So, Crystal, it seems like you have your hand in a lot of pots. Is it difficult to manage all these things? Because you got Sisterhood Publishing, Becoming Her. You got the new Autism magazine.
Zachariah's
you do
World.
Zachariah's World. You
And
do
then
advocacy, and then it sounds like you have another job as well.
Yeah.
Like, is it tough to juggle all this?
I'm gonna show you how I manage.
Is that
a spreadsheet?
All right, you feel free to slap him. Go ahead. Just right through the camera. No, like you must. Oh, yep, right there. That's a calendar, all right, and that's filled. My God,
I'm really bad at time management.
Yeah, that's all right.
Crystal,
we couldn't be friends because I have a calendar.
Yeah,
and I guess it's like a spreadsheet, but
I was just kidding.
It's okay. It's like that's how I balance everything out.
At least, I mean, if you're gonna tease somebody about something, teasing somebody about spreadsheets is kind of
yeah. Well, that's way better than teasing somebody about, I don't know, wearing glasses or, acting like an old man all the time. Or
hold on, I don't pick on you.
Chubby lately.
I don't tease you for wearing glasses. I tease you because your glasses are like the bottom of glass Coke bottles.
Yes, they are. They're nice and thick.
He's functionally blind.
Yeah, actually, that's a true statement. Yeah,
but that's how I balance. I balanced in my calendar.
Oh,
and I share calendars with my friends and my business partner.
Oh, there you go.
So whoever needs me, they know that we have to pre-book my time, and then we go from there.
There you go.
That may not be okay for some people, but that's okay because that's not your life. Right. I prefer to be organized, and if I don't put you on my calendar, I guarantee we're not linking up. We're not going to hang out. And I just told my this other day, I have to remember to call you. If you're not in my routine to call, I say I'm gonna call you. I'm probably not because I'm gonna forget because it's not my routine to call you all the time.
I mean,
so that's something I'm working on.
Yeah, that's a very common thing for autistic people. Like if we're not seeing somebody on a regular basis, like it's almost as if they don't exist, and it doesn't mean we
Out
don't
of
care
sight,
about
out of
them.
mind.
Yeah, just gone. I got a buddy who lives in New York, and like we'll go months and months and months without talking. Actually, I think we went over a year without talking once, and he called me up and he said, "You forgot about me again, didn't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did." And he goes, "Cool, man, I'm right here. So what you been doing?" Like he's not phased by it, but I have had friends in the past who
That
were
are
like,
phased by it.
why are you not calling me regularly to check
Why
in?"
are
I'm
you not
like,
hanging out with me?
yeah, like I
Because I
fucking
have a
forgot.
life, and
Yeah,
you're not in my routine.
right. Like we used to hang out daily and now we don't. Well, I got a different job. And I was like, great. Now you know why I don't call you very often. Like we don't hang out
Life
daily.
happens.
Like,
Give me grace. I gotta give
yeah,
you grace. So give me
exactly.
grace.
Exactly. All of us need to give each other a little bit more grace.
Put you
I
in a
think
basket
that's-
of fries with gravy, and then you could be in my poutine.
Oh, that's nice. So I think all human beings, especially in the U.S., I don't really care about the rest of the world, but I think everybody in the
You don't care about the rest of the world?
No, I don't give a shit.
Okay.
Everybody in the United States needs to give each other a little bit more grace
Uh-huh.
and a little bit more understanding because everybody needs it. Like there's not one group who needs it more than another. Everybody
all
does
need it.
because everybody's getting real shitty on each other, let's say. And that goes across the board. Whatever label you want to identify as or anybody identifies as, everybody getting shitty on somebody a little bit more. And so a little bit more grace to each other might be a worthwhile thing. Holy shit,
Right.
I soapboxed for a minute and a half. I'm sorry. Let me tone that back. I'm the dumb one here. Okay.
No, you're not.
No.
We're not going to do
No.
that.
No, like, I don't know. Every time I called myself an asshole on this show, somebody would be like, "You're not really an asshole." So now I should just say I'm dumb because maybe people
And
will
then
listen.
they're gonna come and say you're not really dumb.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why people need to argue. That's my identity. How
that's
dare
just
you?
'cause
If
you
I want to
haven't-
identify
That is
as
not
an
your
asshole.
identity.
You only say that
It's
because you haven't spent
security
enough time with them.
blanket.
Yeah. What? Wait. What'd you say?
It's security blanket. That ain't your
No.
identity.
I say the asshole part because I'm preempting that somebody's going to be like, "Oh, that comment was kind of mean. I told you I was an asshole up front." I actually own that as really a thing of me because if I tell you I'm an asshole and you don't want to talk to me anymore, cool, then I already knew what kind of friend you were going to be to begin with. But if I tell you I'm an asshole and down the road you're like, "Oh, that sounded kind of mean." Yes, I told you I was an asshole. But then there are people that I've met who I told that to, and they're like, "Yep, you are. So you want to hang out?" I'm like, Yep, I do. Because sometimes I say some shit that's not the most thought out in the world, and it sounds real dumb.
Sometimes
So
I'm not as refined in her voice, but
yes, that's a great way to word it. I do not have a refined.
Hey, he's a
voice.
barrel of crude oil.
Yes, I am.
He's not refined petroleum.
Not at all. He is refined into gasoline because he's got the wordies
Sure.
and shit. Well, no, you're good at the words, and I'm more of like
I'm
a
heavily
blunt
leaded.
hammer.
That's why I got the
Yes.
autism.
Okay. We're also improv comedians outside of this too, so we have a tendency of making fun of everything.
That's how you deal with it. I deal
That's
with
true,
things
too.
by mocking them. So that's
That-
why I make folks jokes about vaccines and
That is true. That is true. Okay. Sorry. Somebody's typing some jazz.
me.
Yeah, I heard it. I heard like 3 keys.
she's adding something to her calendar.
Yeah, it's a note for later. Don't tell people I was on this podcast.
She opened a new spreadsheet. I heard the buttons.
I actually would not do that because it matched who I am, so it's fine.
Oh, okay.
I love promoting podcasts, so
Good. We actually like it when people tell other people about our podcast. We've had many a
promote
guest who wouldn't tell people at
every
all that they were on
podcast I
it.
have been on, I
Yeah.
promote.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
Why do a podcast episode or interview and I'm not going to promote it?
Well, people have like literally we've had
That's
people.
a waste of time.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're running low on time here
Oh.
for the episode,
Yes.
but I think I had a couple more questions I wanted to ask
Go for
you before we round up.
Sure.
So I also saw in your the email you sent me that you recently were in a short film or something.
So,
Oh, look at the pride
great
on her
question.
face right there. Look at all that pride and excitement on her face. Okay.
So I'm working on a documentary. It's called Auesomely, the Heart of Autism. I'm focusing on moms who have kids on the spectrum or adults. The mom have the adult on the spectrum. I don't know how that's going to go. I to try and figure that out. But I am the creative director. and my best friend for cinema. He's the director. And I'm super excited about this project. He's excited. It's going to be on Tubi and Amazon Prime.
Nice.
Most of the things will be on YouTube. It's not. And production has been fun. Yeah, we have had a lot of ups and downs in production. Like, it was just a vision that God gave me, but to actually see it coming is like, whoa. So I'm super excited for people to see different stories. Of course, it's gonna be about me, but it's not about me. It's about everybody else's story. I'm really, as I always, I'm just an advocate. But in this, I'm an advocate and a mom. I'm working on like really, I'm not really an emotional person. So I am emotional, but I'm not emotional. But I have to get it on camera because it's me talking like boom, 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 boom. I'm talking points and facts.
Right.
People look at me like my director / best friend said, "Crystal, that's boring." I said it is.
To somebody maybe.
But I love how honest he is because he is neurotypical and he's really trying to understand autism through me and the women we interview. He is enjoying himself. He's learning so much. So I'm super excited. When it's coming out, it's supposed to be April 2nd on World Autism Day, but due to production, we have to push back. I was dropping it the same day I'm dropping Auesomely You because Auesomely You was dropping April 2nd. So no, it's dropping a little bit later now.
I'm thinking about doing another video series for this April. So we did a video series last April for one video for every day in April about autism. I tried to focus on the history, but also people who are autistic and like different aspects of being autistic. Like I did one.
You should do it again.
I did a TikTok video about sensory stuff. Like, so everything single one was like just a specific topic or about a person or about the history of it.
Right.
Stuff like that. And I was the final video I did was trying to highlight highlight different people who are involved in the community or autistic people who are have accomplished something great. But I was focusing more on BIPOC people for the last one because I noticed when I did the video that was like, when you try to look up people who are autistic, it's mostly like a lot of white guys that pop up.
People who look like me.
Yeah. So I had to go out of my way to try to find other people to
go
put it
out
in.
of your way. Really?
Well, I mean, go out of my way. I mean, like, because it's not just easy Google search. You have to look a little harder is what I'm saying.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Because
I
found it as easily as typing BIPOC autism, and I found like 9 websites that
that's why
highlighted.
The key word is you had to type in Black autistic.
I just typed in BIPOC. Like I just literally BIPOC autism, and like several websites popped up.
That's why.
Yeah.
But if you just type in autism, I'm gonna find more people that look like you guys versus.
Oh yeah, you're gonna see a whole lot of this face, and unfortunately this.
That's online too. It's mostly like when you look for autism stuff online, it's mostly centered around parents, and it's a lot.
There's a lot of that too, just centered around
especially
parents.
moms. So moms, parents, and kids, right? And then when you see autistic adults, it is like obviously like a lot of white guys. But then the funny thing is though, if we go on social media, it's more white women.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Like on TikTok, Facebook, on social media platforms, it's mostly women talking about autism. There's not a lot of men talking about autism.
There's way more women who do podcasts about autism, and it's usually like moms of, not you. There are some who are women who are autistic themselves who do a podcast, but it's mostly women with kids that are on the spectrum.
And I think that probably has to do with like
of podcasts.
Gender differences when it comes to the way like women seem to be more open about talking about things. Like just as a, for the way that men are
more accepted that women talk about children. People are more accepted hearing that.
Right. But what I'm saying is that men
talk about kids.
Boys and men are typically socialized to not share their feelings as much. Right. So like, I think that's part of the reason why, like men kind of keep it to themselves, whereas a lot of women are out there actually talking about their experience. So,
because it's more socially acceptable for that. Yeah.
I think we need to change that and make it socially acceptable for men too to talk.
Yeah.
I want to hear men talk about this. Let's talk about them being on the spectrum.
Yeah.
That's why I purposely put a man that has autism on my cover
There you
for
go.
my magazine.
That's
I purposely
awesome.
did
Yeah.
that. And it's not even about the following. It's about I need your story.
Yeah. Because all of us have it, even though like me and Steve are identified as looking the same or similar enough, we both have two different stories of being late diagnosed. And I think everybody deserves to tell their story one way or the other.
Yeah, I agree. Y'all should
'Cause-
send me an article in about your late diagnosis if I can put in the column.
Steve, that would be up to you.
Well, so
I don't do a lot of the typey,
I'm actually
righty.
I am a
don't-
writer, so
Yeah,
if
he's
you
a
ever want me
writer.
to write something for you, let me know.
He's got a bunch of blog posts.
Please
for
email
us
me
and stuff.
and let me know
Yeah.
so I can put you on my spreadsheet.
Yeah,
I can show you. So we have a blog that we don't update. So that
Whoa.
I don't update because it's really me.
Yeah,
but
it's really.
I've
your
written a few
space.
blog posts. I can show you what I've
Yeah.
written on there, which are both about being autistic. But
Yeah.
I also do a lot of creative writing. I've written a bunch of plays and
Right.
scripts
So,
and
like, if you move into like letting people
short
talk or
stories,
having part of your
poems.
magazine where people talk about stuff like verbally, I am so willing to contribute because I don't write words.
I had something I called autistic
I do
poetry.
have something like that.
Oh, really?
So,
Oh,
yeah, I got to work on how I'm gonna set it up.
yeah. Okay.
But I do have something what you talk about because I know everybody's not gonna be one to type their story.
Yeah, like some of us are much better at talking.
I had autism poetry.
Yeah, although I will need to have bullet points in front of me so I can remember where I'm going.
Funny thing. So before I found out that I was autistic, I used to write a lot of poetry growing up and short stories, stuff like that. But looking back at a bunch of my poems, I realized I was describing being autistic, but not knowing I was.
Yeah.
So I had certain poems that I highlighted that I shared with people that describe being autistic without knowing it at the time. But I was writing it, in poetry form, like expressing
When
how I
was
felt.
when was y'all diagnosed? What was your diagnosis?
Around 30-ish.
30.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
okay.
So all
I'm
three
a
of us
bit
are late.
older than Steve. I'm about 6 years older than Steve. So
so
somebody
all
do
of
the
us
math.
are late in our late
Oh, yeah.
30s. We all okay. So we
Yeah.
all got
Yeah. All recognized in our 30s. What was I going to say?
I don't know. You tell
he's
me.
actually really good at writing. Like I really appreciate his writing. And I'm not just saying that because like I'm his creative partner and I do a podcast with him. I actually think he's a good writer. I would tell him otherwise.
I
But-
love that.
Yeah, I can't not be honest. But I know I'm saying that as if it's a surprise to me, even though I've been doing it for 44 years now. Anyway.
All
Where
right,
was
so
I
why don't we?
going?
I don't know.
Yes, okay.
I was about to wrap things up. Anyway.
You were. Let's go with that.
So do you have any more questions for Crystal?
Well, my normal question that I ask, what's the future hold for you? Like, what's new coming up? You
What
said you
does the
got-
future hold for
Oh
you?
my good God, I'm Dr. Phil
So what
today.
does the future
All
hold
right.
for me?
Yeah,
is,
like what's the new
um,
stuff coming up? You told us a little bit about what's coming up in April, but like tell us
Okay.
some more.
So I have so many things coming up. I want to launch a nonprofit, but I'm putting it on pause for right now. I was going to launch it in February. I like to launch all of my projects in the month that my son was born because he's the reason and my why.
Right.
So I did my trademark in February. I do everything in February. So I'm putting some things on pause until next February. One thing I'm working on is working on a bill to get passed in Georgia.
Mhm.
So that's the future holds for me. And I'm thinking about I'm gonna pray about it. Maybe being a advocate lawyer, thinking about it. And that's what the future holds for me. I'm just really about advocating for what I think my son in the future autistic people would need.
Yeah.
Especially in Georgia, because I am from Georgia.
Right.
So
I mean, of course, we got to affect locally more so than, but that's how it expands out, right? We do it here. We get more people on board, and then we it just keeps going outward. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, people focus on trying to get things too big too fast.
Oh yeah, and then they lose sight of the whole shebang. But thank you very much for that because you're moving forward and you're getting people to understand us better. So you're doing awesome work with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Before I self-diagnosed myself, I used to talk to autistic people all the time, autistic adults, to understand what my son was up against, to understand the lack of resources, to understand everything that I understand now is because I literally was talking. I wasn't talking at autistic people. I was listening, accepting, and listen and really trying to understand, okay, you don't like this, you don't like that.
Right.
The common goal for me is inclusion.
Absolutely.
But now that I'm
and
a proud autistic, I'm autistic too, so I can say it too. So
yeah, and actually, if and when we do another episode, I want to focus on representation and inclusion, because inclusion is something. I know I'm like pointing at you and shit as if I'm accusing you. I talk with my hands a lot, but
no, I'm
to
doing it
me,
to you.
so
This is the
inclusion to
episode.
me, I actually have this. I'm starting to build this like theory and idea in my head that everybody got a different version of what inclusion means. And I want to change the word to something else that actually includes everybody together. And I know a lot of people might hear me say that and go, well, that's what inclusion means. Yeah, but for some people, inclusion means everybody. Sometimes inclusion just means that their group gets to be heard. And that's my problem with it, is like, unfortunately, inclusion, some people are like, no, but that group can't be here because it's only for us. No, inclusion would mean everybody get a voice, everybody get a space.
Right.
And unfortunately, it's not always talked about that way. And so if we do another episode, I'd like to get into that with you a little bit, if we could.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
And other songs written by Paul Simon.
That was because there was silence.
I know why you did it.
Y'all are silly.
So anyway,
well, I have ours. Did you read my chat?
What? No, because when you looked down and you were doing something, I thought you got a message of something important. I didn't realize it was going to a chat.
I did. I sent you guys that.
Oh, okay, cool. So, we will definitely read it. Should we read it right now? Or after?
No.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
So you guys can your audience can follow me on all platforms at I am Crystal Jordan.
Yeah.
And then you guys can also find me on, if you want to support Auesomely You magazine or be a writer or whatever, you just go to Instagram and it's Auesomely You. It's AUESOMELYU magazine. I mean You Mag. And once you type that in, just DM me. I'm one person that run it, and I will DM you back. Don't worry. If I leave you on red, I haven't processed what you're saying. I'm gotta reply. So just DM me, and I got you.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking for sponsors and capital because,
well, of course,
so.
Yeah. And as far as us goes, follow us on every social media you can, including follow us on Spotify. Leave a comment if you heard anything today you like, you dislike, you want to comment on, you want to tell us how awesome Steve is dressed today. Leave us a comment, like, follow, all that jazz. Tell your friends, and more importantly,
leave a comment that says hi, Crystal.
Yeah, there you go. Hi, Crystal works too. Also, follow her magazine, Auesomely You magazine, Becoming Her magazine as well, and support what Crystal's doing.
Buy her book.
Yeah, buy her book.
Well,
support the hell out of what she's doing, because she's trying to help us. So us as a community. So the more we support Crystal and people like Crystal, the better off all of us are going to end up being in the long run. So with that being said, thanks everybody for listening.
Bye, y'all. Thank you for listening to our stories and rambling. Bye, y'all.